going into predictions. So I'm gonna kind of like go, instead of what I think's gonna happen, I'm gonna kind of meld that in with what I want to happen. So a little bit of both. I do. It could go one of two ways with Osha. Like, she puts the helmet on. I think she's gonna like what happens when she puts it on, and she's gonna be bad. That's what I'm hoping. And we talked about that a little bit last week, but I'm thinking she's going to be bad. Not sure in relation to the stranger how that's going to work. He's the biggest question mark for me at this point, because I think I'm pretty sure she's going to be bad. May is going to be indifferent, going for Osha, I believe. Soul is also going to be trying, I guess, to get Osha back, I guess. But then you still have Vernestra, and the Jedi are going to be trying to find them as well. So I think that's going to be an issue. Vernestra and the stranger probably end up being the point of contention there. She's probably who occupies his time, I guess. And then you have the Osha May Soul, because I'm not 100% sure where Chimere fits into this story that they've got to wrap up with Soul's thing. You know, unless he's just kind of manipulating. But then you've still got Vernestra to deal with. So I don't know about that. I mean,
we've speculated how he's connected, but he's not really connected to any of their stories yet. He is still kind of an outlier. Obviously, I don't know about obviously. We can assume that he knows everything that May told him. I'm assuming she truthful. Told him, right, so he would know that Soul killed their mom, which he could tell Osha. And I'd be curious how, honestly, I was thinking about this, I was curious how quickly they might get rid of Soul. Because they've pretty quickly eliminated characters as they've filled purposes. Like, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they show up on that planet and he dies pretty quickly to her. Like, she's found out what he did. And she's just in anger-fueled rage mode, hatred, and won't see or hear or listen to anything, and she's got the mask on, and just maybe she kills him right off the bat. I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know that he's going to stick around much longer, though. I don't know. As much as I don't know that that's where the focus of the show has felt the most successful, I think ultimately it's going to come down to Osha and May, right? Like, that's where they're going to focus, I think, the majority.
That's the story.
The resolution of the story. As much as I'm more interested maybe in Soul and Chimere, I think that's where it's heading is really going to be between them. That's where the core of the whatever resolution we get is going to be between. I think the other characters are going to play some roles, but they're going to be more external factors for that. Rather than the main characters, I think.
Well, I think someone's going to kill May. Whether I would say the prime candidates would be Chimere or Vernestra. One of those two. Chimere would make a lot of sense just because, like, she's the failed Padawan.
He was already trying to.
So that would make a lot of sense. But Vernestra could show up and kind of know she's the assassin anyways and act kind of rashly there. So that's a potential. Another potential is somehow, like, you've got... I don't know how this would work, but you could have Soul kind of being the last one standing, but Chimere getting away or something. And then Vernestra shows up and decides the cover up for that would be taking Soul out.
Blaming him.
Or killing him. Like blaming it on him, killing him. And she's the one who goes back and corrupts everything. That's an interesting take as well. Probably not likely, but they could do that. But I think I thought a long time that no one could make it that was aware. But I think she could and still not know there's a Sith and still show back up and cover things up.
Yeah, I think so, because obviously her goal this whole time has been to keep things quiet and not let things be known that would hurt the Jedi, right? Obviously, Jedi being murdered and murdering each other is not good for business. And so, if she does not know about the existence of Chimere, I could definitely see her going back and just being like, Rogue Jedi is taken care of, no problems, nothing to worry about, and just keeping it hush hush. Now I don't know that Chimere gets away.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he bites the dust here.
I think OSHA. So I think the most likely, probably of all of this, is OSHA just takes everybody out that's left, and she goes bad. Turns out they're on Baldemnik, which is where Plagueis and Tenebris are fond of, right? For the Cortosis.
We've already seen that Cortosis
Tenebris
vein in the cave. Yeah.
Yep. So it's going to be Baldemnik, or at least the canon version of that.
Yeah.
And then you have the Master showing up at the end to his, layer of Cortosis that Chimere was keeping watch over, but everyone's dead except Osha. And you go into this story of Osha being, an apprentice to whoever this Master is that eventually gets us to the prequel trilogy. That would make a lot of sense. I think people would be happy with that. Now, does that mean I think that's going to happen? At this point, I don't know.
Man, I don't. Do we know the runtime? We probably don't know the runtime yet.
I haven't seen any leaks on that.
Yeah,
short. Probably they've all been short.
They have been. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's definitely ways that they can round it out that it feels satisfying at this point. I mean, we've had 2 episodes that were not very well received by us, but we've enjoyed the rest of the show by and large. Yeah. And so there's still a point where they could finish it out, and I would enjoy the closure of the story.
Yeah, especially if it picks back up with 6.
But not if
it acts like 7 never happened.
Yeah, but not if Soul goes back to acting like Soul from before, I'm gonna have a hard time with that. Right?
Because you just wasted 2 episodes.
Super emotional and just if all that's dictating what he thinks is right is just what he feels in the moment. Because I feel like that's really what he was. That I'm gonna have a hard time with that. Because I feel like supposedly, right? He told Osha he had made peace with it. They have that conversation, and so I want to see what that looks like at this point. What does it look like that he's made peace with this now that it's coming to a head? I do want to see how that's portrayed in his character.
Are they going to pick back up with the fact he can read minds? Or are they just going to keep mentioning that in passing? That he reads Soul. That's what Chimere tells him. He was like, take off that mask, and he says, "Why? So you can read my thoughts."
Oh, yeah.
Are we just going to forget the fact that Soul's force speciality is reading minds? That would be something to elaborate on.
Because that's not something a lot of Jedi. I mean, we've seen it some, but it's usually pretty close quarters, ripping things out of their heads. I guess we saw
that's kind of what
do it to Rey.
Yeah, so I think would have been cool to elaborate on that. Maybe they throw something like that in there. Maybe they, that'd be cool to see. A lot of potential.
I think Osha wears the helmet in this episode, though.
Hope so.
I don't think I honestly don't think we see Chimere in the helmet at all. We might see him fight, but I don't know.
Oh, there's got to be some action in this.
Yeah, I would think so. Which, and I will say, the action scenes that May / Osha,
top notch,
the actress has been a part of, she's done really well. It's all been hand to hand so far, but I feel like it's really sold really well on screen. So seeing her fight with a lightsaber might be pretty exciting as well. Obviously, she talked about all the training she did for it, so we might have a pretty cool fight coming up with her and Chimere or her and Soul. So I think that would be a fun way to close it out. We've got to have some action though.
Yeah. Oh, I think it should probably be a majority, emotion-based action would be a good way to go about this. Another thing that would be cool to see, kind of wish list item, outside of Tenebris showing up or something like that. Yeah. What if she ends up, because she needs a saber, because May has Kelnaka's, or not Kelnaka, the yellow saber, Yord's.
Yeah. No, Yord's, yes.
Yord's saber.
So many characters.
It would be really cool if Osha ended up with one of the Jedi sabers and bled it on screen or something. That would be pretty cool.
Well, that would be cool.
We haven't seen that on screen yet, so
maybe he's taught her how to do that in the meantime. I don't know.
If the big EU thing that she decided she's going to bring in is only Cortosis, not that it's not cool, But you know how Leslie Headland like mentioned that there's going to be like a big thing from the EU in this. If it turns out to just be the cortosis, that's going to be a little disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, cortosis is super cool, but
And it can lead into a big deal. But you don't say we pulled some big stuff from the EU
yeah,
and that be it.
but the thing is it's not something you should start seeing everywhere now, though, because there was a very
Yeah.
limited amount of that stuff. It was hard to find, hard to mine. I mean, it was super, super rare.
I do think that that's just like the gateway into her big reveal. I think that's because you know how they've hinted at everything. Like this show has been nothing short of spelling out what's going to happen. Well, if you insert cortosis into the story, a Star Wars fan, once you learn what cortosis is, which I had to do, I've read Plagueis and I completely skipped over that. But like once you figure out the implications of that,
yeah,
what do you think is going to happen next? I think we probably could see something just because of how they've telegraphed everything.
it would be a lot to insinuate and imply and tie together coincidentally for it not to go that route, right? Between
especially
the
as obvious as they have been with everything
seems
else
to be,
unknown.
about the planet that we're talking about. Like, you would think that those things are tied together for a reason. So hopefully that, and that is kind of what, as soon as we all had this show in our minds, that was one of the things we thought about, is the reveal of a Sith Lord, like who it's going to be, who are we going to see. So I don't know. It has been on everybody's minds from the get-go. So I hope that it's something that they thoughtfully put in as a way to close out the show.
I would have said after episode 6, yes. After episode 7, I would say not sure.